Okay, in this movie we're going to continue our examination of the structural elements. So let's take a look at the game, and it says that runners A, B, C, D, E, and F are placed in two relay squads of 3 members each, with one runner in first place, one in second, and one in third. Okay, so we're given 2 relay squads, and we're also told they're going to be in first place, second, and third place. And what this tells us is that these are sequential/grouping games. So in this movie, we're going to introduce this third major group of structural elements, the sequential and grouping elements. These movable elements are grouped together, and ordering is important as well. So you need to pay attention to which elements can go with which, as well as which ones are next to which. So in this case, position and location are important. So here, the elements within groups may have to be ordered. And this game is an example of that, is where the elements within the groups are ordered. So we would have a diagram where we would have 2 groups, 1 and 2, and within the groups we would have B, D, and E being first, second, and third in group 1, and A, C, and F being first, second, and third in group 2. So here the runners are divided into 2 groups, but their ordering within these 2 groups is important. So, for example, if we switch the D and E in the first group to have D be third and E second, that would be a completely new arrangement. Alright, so let's take a look at this game. It says that runners A, B, C, D, E, and F will be divided into 3 groups, X, Y, and Z, and the groups will hold races one after one another. So here we see that it says it's divided into 3 groups, and those groups race one after another. So that lets us know that groups may need to be ordered, not just the elements within the groups. And here we could have Y, X, and Z being the order of the groups, Y first, then X, then Z, and B, D is in Y, A, C is in X, E, and F are in Z. So here the runners are divided into 3 groups, and their order within the groups isn't important. B is above D in Y, but that doesn't mean that B is before D. But in this arrangement, we see that group Y raced first, then group X, then Z. So that's the order that's important. It's the order of the groups, not of the elements within the group. Okay, in this game it says that runners A, B, C, D, E, and F will be divided into 3 groups X, Y, and Z, and the groups will hold races one after another, and each race will have a first and second place. So it's once again, it's 3 groups, but a first and second place within the groups. So that lets us know that both the movable elements and the groups may need to be ordered, and you sometimes get that. So an example could be where you have Y racing first, group Y racing first, with B before D, then group X, then group Z. So here the runners are divided into 3 groups, and the order of the groups is important, but unlike the previous example, the order of the runners within the groups is important. B is above D means that B finished before D. And as with the previous movies and the previous sections, this game type can occur with all of the different variations for movable and structural elements. The movable elements can be found in groups, with characteristics, etc., and the structural elements can be any variation that we went over, circular, AM, PM, unspecified, and all those. And any combination of movable elements and structural elements can be found together. And this is the same as with the sequential and grouping structural elements. So to recap, the grouping/sequence type games can be thought of as a combination of the previous 2 game types, and they come in several different variations. You need to pay attention to the relationship between the movable and structural elements, and keep in mind that these variations can be found with any movable element type. And in addition, there's also an additional game type that appears very rarely and is much more spatial in nature, and it's fairly intuitive to diagram. And it hasn't shown up on any of the recent or latest LSATs.